Hello everyone, welcome to Tom's ePortfolio website. So on the left-hand side here is my frame that's where I broke up my topics into pre-residency, residency, and post-residency. Also, I have a topic of knowing myself that I've broken up into subheadings as a learner, as an educator, and as a leader. So I'm going to quickly guide you through the first section, which is my pre-residency with Snoopy. Now I specifically chose Snoopy and his statement, where am I going, what am I doing, and what is the meaning of life, because I thought it was a very fair representation of how I felt when I first entered the Masters of Education in Leadership Management. So here's my introduction, and one of the main statements that I made was just that as educators, we are constantly in the state of doing. And what I meant by that is that in the daily grind of everyday life, we don't always have the opportunity to reflect upon our practice and to think about, why is it that we do what we do. And taking this course has really helped me in slowing that pace down and just thinking about what I'm doing and being intentional about it. Here's my Photo Voice project, and within my Photo Voice, I reflected as well about structural inequities within our educational system, as well as talking about how do we flip our implicit biases that are just inherent in ourselves, in society, and in the education system. At the very bottom here, I chose a few different icons here, and they're icons that really have quite significant meaning for me. So one is Universal Design for Learning, another one is SOGI, the third one is the core competencies of the BC curriculum, which is to do, to understand, and to know, and last but certainly not least, of course, is the First People's Principles of Learning. I'm now going to go to my residency page. And within the residency page, I'm just going to wait here for it to load for a second. So as I was saying, with the residency page, I chose a few different images here that I thought really represented my experience during residency. So at Royal Roads, we explored a number of different concepts within our coursework, and from there, how I thought about it was that I pulled out some key quotes that were very significant for me. So in EDLM 501, I pulled out a quote from Briggs. Even though he was more used in 510, I thought it was really relevant for Audrey's course, which is leadership a construct of the leader, or leaders created by those whom they lead? So what I got from that is that there's always a dichotomy, and there's always a power dynamic that we have to be mindful and intentional about when we lead. And we have to be very thoughtful about why is it that we lead, and how is it that we were gifted the privilege of leading. In 510, Research for School Improvement, what I really understood from this course was the power and the purpose of data-driven practice, and how important it is that you're not stuck to just, or married to just one system of collecting data or interpreting data, or even of understanding how the education system works, but to use a mixed method. And so I created a couple of wordles and word clouds to just illustrate the fact that there are so many different classification systems and terms, but concepts to be mindful of when we are conducting data and research. And of course, in Frederick's course, I was taking a look at taking a look back at Fullen, and how important his work has been in education for the past while here. And this one quote by Fullan really spoke to me, which is that humans are fundamentally motivated by two factors: doing things that are intrinsically meaningful to themselves and working with others. For me, that is absolutely speaks to how I work as a teacher, but also as to how I lead as a leader. A couple of different pieces that we did with Frederick here, and of course I actually have started watching the first couple of episodes of The Principal, and I do recommend it for those of you who haven't watched it yet. Moving on to post-residency. With post-residency, I focused a little bit less on the academic portion of the courses and more on the personal side of things, because I do feel that part of education and educational leadership is recognizing that there is a person behind the staff member, and that I myself, behind the leader, there is a person as well. And as a person, we always have to find that balance and make time for friends and family. So even though we're in the midst of thinking about doing some action research and potentially having a topic for our capstone project, it's important to keep things in perspective. And I just noticed that I have a typo right here, so I'm going to have to go back and fix that. So I had a chance to do a little bit of golfing and, of course, go crashing on a tube. The last part, this video, and I've embedded a lot of videos into my e-portfolio, because I found that after I did the initial photo voice project, I found that the power of watching videos and hearing a person's message, not just on print, but hearing it from them, is that much more impactful. So this was a song that Brian shared with us, Stand By Me, which I thought was just such a wonderful way of expressing how the world is such a small place. And so keeping that in mind, it's really important for all of us to remember to support one another, but also to accept support from each other. I'm moving now on to knowing myself, and again, I broke that up into as a learner, as an educator, and as a leader. So as a learner, I talked about myself and my journey. And if you remember back to the forum post that I posted, I am a boat person. I was a refugee at a young age when we fled Vietnam, and that really shaped who I am and why I find so many experiences to be just wonderful opportunities, because without those risks that my parents took, I would never have had the privilege of living where I do right now and enjoying all the opportunities that I've gotten. So due to that, I've been able to experience this right here, which is a bunch of books that have quite a bit of meaning for myself and my family, and just a few pictures of people who are important to me in my life. I talked a little bit about my experiences teaching abroad as well, and and that was my reflection as an individual. Now, as a reflective beginner, I understand the importance of questioning, and so I really pulled out just some images that really talk to the importance of critical pedagogy, and also leadership theories and leadership styles, and how I really would like to strive to be as transformational as possible, because I do believe that that's the capacity to grow the culture of my school. So as an individual and as a learner, I really have to say that my core beliefs include kindness, honesty, and community, as well as lifelong learner. And so from there, I shared this video from Train Ugly website. Thank you very much, Gabe, for sharing that with us, because when I watched it, I just thought, wow, what a wonderful message. So I do hope you take the time to watch this video. My next section is as an educator, and one thing that I've noticed is that really what speaks to me other than UDL is that the IB diploma program and its capacities really, I think I naturally gravitate towards the IB standards. So this is something that I would like to pursue as an educational leader. As I stated before, UDL and the core competencies and first people's principles of learning really guide my practice. And it really guides me in terms of thinking about change and as an agent of change. And as so I quoted Nelson Mandela here, just that education is the most powerful weapon that you can use to change the world. And so how do we change the world? Well, how else could we do it other than by listening, watching, and remembering people's stories? Because that's how we educate ourselves, and we have to first educate ourselves in order to educate those around us. Now, as a leader, again, I go back to Fullen, right? I think many of us do. And so, as a leader, I think that school leadership and culture are completely intertwined, and that includes the people who we've surrounded ourselves with and the people that we work with, as well as our students. Lastly, I just want to include this video on this page, which talks about leadership that is very dear to myself, which is just diversity and inclusion, and making sure that that is always at the forefront of what I am working towards. And lastly, of course, is my page of references. Thank you for watching, and appreciate it.